An absolutely crazy bullish weekly chart. That is Bitcoin. It's just consolidating. This is a weekly chart zoomed out. Look at this blue line, that 50-week moving average. We're going to discuss what's going on there, especially on the zoomed in. We look at the daily chart. Bitcoin, crypto markets in general look like they're ready to explode, but we need to pause there for just a minute as we start this new week, because there are a bunch of things happening in the next 3 days alone that we have to just, again, we have to pause and consider what is going on, because it could absolutely destroy any type of pump that we're potentially getting ready to see on this chart, as you see here, or it could fuel the pump. So hit the subscribe, hit the like. As we start this video, we're going to look at Bitcoin charts. We're also going to look at ADA charts. If you look at the ADA BTC on the monthly, something happening right there that I really want to discuss as it relates to the Cardano cycles, because Cardano, in my view, is getting very close. So let's do this. I want to start here. This is it. These are three things alone happening in the next few days. Japanese GDP. Everyone will be watching this. This is tomorrow, the 9th. The reason why you might be like, why does Japanese GDP matter? Third largest economy globally. Markets across the world are going to be watching this. It's a economic indicator for all markets. So Japanese GDP is tomorrow. Is it going to look strong? Is it going to be weak? What's it going to look like? I think that could dictate a lot in terms of what markets do. And then we have the House Financial Services Committee hearing on DeFi on Tuesday, which is a big deal. But I would say a way bigger deal here. U.S. presidential debate. I don't even think I need to get into why that's such a big deal as it relates to crypto alone. But everything else, it's a big deal. That's on the 10th. And then the 11th, Wednesday, CPI data. And here's just a quick overview real quick of why it's so important. We had labor data that came out recently, and it's all a matter of speculation on what the data is. If the data is so bad, investors are looking at a big rate cut on September 18th. That's what people are waiting for. So Wednesday's CPI for August may end up being the deciding factor as to whether the Federal Reserve will deliver a bigger than usual 50 basis point rate cut. Here's why that is so important and how it could move the markets this week. The U.S. Central Bank hasn't lowered borrowing costs by that much at one time since late 2008, when the U.S. was in the midst of the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. So if CPI data comes out, is not looking how they want it to look, people are going to be like, man, they might actually cut it half a point, their interest rates on the 18th. And if they do, I think that will be like the trigger for all the headlines. Recession is here. Here's the recession. And then things get bumpy. But we know, because we follow the data, we've been tracking the data since the 50s. We know, I think 1957 or so, 3 months historically after the recession starts, the market's bottom. So yeah, maybe if we go to a weekly chart on Bitcoin zoomed out, maybe there's going to be some downside because of that. Maybe the data isn't as bad and all this recession talks gets put aside. Maybe there's a recession and Bitcoin keeps going up. But you can see how it gets iffy when we're trying to track just technical analysis. Right now, we're over the years doing these videos for almost 7 years. There have been many times where there's like nothing going on. This is neutral. Everything's neutral. And technical analysis is a little bit more, I would say, reliable. In this case, the slightest thing, because there's so many big things going on, the slightest headline dropping from one of these big things could just move markets, very simply. But even if that's the case, these charts and these patterns and the things that we track are just so helpful. So let's talk about Bitcoin. Then we're going to look at ADA, because I think right now it's really going to be important to start paying attention to ADA. If you're a macro person, especially if you're a value investor in the crypto space, there's so many people ignoring Cardano. Genuinely, I do not know what's going to happen. But I think Cardano will be one of the best plays for the parabolic bull. I could be wrong. I've realized that, but I think so. Here's Bitcoin. This is the falling wedge that we've been discussing. We did some kind of deeper technical analysis on it the other day. But right now, just look at this setup off of this swing low. And really, if you look at this candle closed. It's not like, if we look at this, where this candle closed back here is right around 54,000. This candle closed pretty much right there as well. I don't know the exact price it closed, but you can just see almost identical, slightly lower. So it's official lower low on the candle close, and then a bounce. Now here's what's crazy about it, and this raises my eyebrow. We're getting just such nice looking bullish divergence from that move. That is to say, this lower low now put in, and then the higher low. We've been tracking this. Just, it looks too good. I think there could be such a manipulated play to fake people out right now. People I think are thinking, this is it. This is the bounce. We're moving up at least to the moving averages, at least to like 60,000. I would not be surprised to see a fall, another lower low. And it'll be very interesting to see what the RSI does in that case, the slower moving momentum oscillator here. But what I will say is I do think, especially if we can get through the next few days, I think the bottom is in and we're going to get some type of move to these moving averages. You look at this, MACD has cooled off tremendously since like the end of August, getting ready to pivot, a slow pivot perhaps back to the upside, get that histogram. You can see that histogram going from dark red to light red right here. There's bars cruising to the upside towards zero on the histogram. Eventually, we'll get this MACD line crossing the red line, that signal line, similar to what happened back here in July. And right now, it's good to see when we get into this environment because, like, all right, that was rough, right? That downtrend that we were in, but let's see if we can turn this around. And then we have the stock RSI, quicker moving momentum oscillator, has been in oversold also since basically the end of August. And you can just see what this looks like here. And when we get bottoms, typically, this is what the chart looks like, right? Before making that move to the upside. So momentum oscillators they're all saying, you know what? We're getting close. We're getting close to the bounce to the upside. I'm just saying, this is a daily chart. Be careful, especially over the next few days. Maybe the, Japanese GDP tomorrow moves markets in one way or the other, right? Currency markets are going to be watching that heavily. Let's just see. And then the debates on Tuesday and the CPI data, anticipation of CPI data. Who knows? So be careful on this chart. But if we get the bullish move that is so nicely set up when it comes to the technicals on the charts, it is simply the same story. 20 moving average is the first hurdle. I really don't care what happens until then. There's no special area to watch for other than around 58,900, right around $59,000. That's the move Bitcoin needs to make. So we start moving. Tomorrow we're at 56. We're breaking 57. There's probably going to be nice tweets. It's going to look really good. A lot of nice bullish posts, but it still means nothing. We absolutely have to make the move to at least get to the 20. And the thing is, once it's to the 20, it still has a ton of hurdles above, right? The 50 is in blue. That's a 10% move to the upside. That's around 60,600. And then the red. We have that red one, the 200-day moving average. All of these things need to be flipped. Bitcoin, if you want to see the real power move, if you want to see on the weekly chart something really good happening, we need to see Bitcoin break all those moving averages on the daily up to around $63,000, $64,000. And is it of no surprise that journey on the daily translates to Bitcoin getting back above this incredibly important line, the 20-week moving average, because this is the bull market line right there, that green line. It's also the bear market line, meaning a bear market would be lower lows and lower highs below that line, failure at the line. A bull market is higher highs and higher lows above the line. You go back to the last bull market. That's what the bull market looks like. You go to the bull market before that. Look at that. Higher highs, higher lows above the green line. That's what we want to see. Bitcoin absolutely needs to get back above that line. So it all starts on the daily chart, and it all starts really zoomed in on the daily chart as we see. So, and it all starts really in the next few days to see what happens with all of these events happening. Now, in the case, we have a bullish move for crypto. Cardano is just very primed. Cardano, and this is the time of the cycle where it should be primed. This is ADA BTC chart. You look at how far ADA BTC was down last time at this cycle, down like 92% on the ADA BTC chart. This cycle at this time, down around right now, 89, 90%. It's exactly where ADA is, or should be, I would say, based on history. And that is to say, it's an underdog. And that is of no surprise. That is almost expected. Before we dive into the charts, I want to show you something. I just saw this clip, Dawson Allen over here on X. Check this out.
I like the way that Cardano's gone about this. Decentralized security first, and we are coming into more scalable seasons. We've added pipelining, we've added hydro, we've added
Cardano focused on scalability, decentralization, decentralization, security. And he's saying this is exactly what they said we would never get, right? First, they said we didn't have smart contract. It didn't have smart contracts. Next, they said it wasn't decentralized. These things have happened. It's done. And it's secure, right? Now they will probably say it isn't scalable. That's going to be worked on more and more right now. That's what he's talking about in the video. And it's going to be complete, right? So Cardano, in my view, and this plays into, and I've talked about this for a very long time, if you go to 8 weekly chart, Cardano is, I know it's the underdog. I know so many people just can't stand it for some reason. I don't understand. It's just such a contender. It's especially for a macro-minded crypto person like myself. It just, as a value investor, it makes so much sense and it's so well positioned. And I think it's only a matter of time before the value of ADA price catches up to what is actually here fundamentally. And I say that all the time. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I've tracked Cardano along with all of crypto for so long, but Cardano, because it's just such a big piece of my crypto journey, and this is why. So here's Cardano on the weekly chart. We kind of know where we are. I've talked about it a lot. We're actually doing better at this moment post Bitcoin halving here than we were at this moment post Bitcoin halving back here. We're not down as much from the all-time high. Obviously, we're still down. The weekly chart is, if we just open up some oscillators, the weekly chart is so primed. And you can even look at the MACD getting even closer. We looked at the MACD, I think, on the Bitcoin daily chart. Here it is on the weekly chart for Cardano. It dropped into this red on the histogram in April. And we've kind of just pivoted. You see this histogram approaching zero, this MACD line getting very close to shifting back up. Well, what do you think will happen when we get the MACD crossing above the red signal line in an environment where crypto is finally bullish? I've talked about so much data in terms of, the recession, and if we get this like recession indicator that is a confirmation that we're in a recession in the next 30 or 90 days, maybe it takes for markets to bottom. Maybe it's just terrible. Maybe there's capitulation on Cardano. But even if there was, how do you think, not only crypto, but how do you think Cardano will operate off of the bounce? Well, how did it operate out of the bounce back here, right? Everybody remembers that into the bull market. And back then, Cardano didn't have the staking mechanism, didn't have the multi-asset ledger, didn't have the smart contracts we just talked about, didn't have Vasil hard fork, which is the beginning of scalability, and now full decentralization with Chang hard fork. Didn't have that stuff. Now we do. Now we're getting ready to enter what I think will be a parabolic bull run. I could be wrong, but remember, anticipate everything, expect nothing. So yeah, I think we'll get a parabolic bull run, but maybe we don't. And that's something we all need to be prepared for. And then ADA on the daily. So actually, let me start on ADA on the monthly on BTC just to show you. This has been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months. This is a monthly chart. 8 red monthly candles. And it is prime time season when ADA gets in this environment for everybody just to be like, ADA's done. And then that sets up what happens next on an altcoin chart like this. And I'm sure this is not the only altcoin chart against BTC that looks like this. And that's why we're monitoring Bitcoin dominance. I think we're going to do a Bitcoin dominance video tomorrow. Incredibly important for every crypto holder out there. What is getting ready to happen? Because if this falls, once again, similar to last cycles, when you look at a chart like ADA BTC, it will be explosive. And there is, I don't know if you were here last time for this explosive move. There's a lot to prepare for in a move like that from a macro standpoint. So going over here to the daily chart, ADA, this is a great reason to do the video tonight because ADA is not out of the woods on the daily. But right now, we're testing the 20-day moving average in green right below it. 35 cents is that area. What's good is the 50-day moving average is not far above that. not even 36 cents, 35.7. So this entire area, I don't know if ADA will wake up tomorrow and ADA will just be rejected. It could very well be the case. We still have 22 hours, 40 minutes of this green candle. I could wake up tomorrow, it could be red. We could be falling back down to 33 cents while I'm waking up tomorrow because, I don't know, maybe there's some anticipation of markets opening, S&P pre-trading is not looking good. Who knows? Crypto's falling for whatever reason. And that is why we have to be careful. But if we get a move for ADA to the upside, we are here again. And what I mean by that is it's a story of lower lows, lower highs, right at these moving averages. The first step is always to break above these moving averages and start putting higher highs and higher lows. We failed to do this every time on our way down for months now from the swing high back here in March. But it could very well be getting ready to turn around, and it all starts in the daily chart. And we see how it translates on the weekly, right? Especially when we look at these oscillators. This RSI, the slower moving momentum oscillator, is ready to go. It has cooled down so much. And then this MACD could be one of the most compelling zoomed out indicators for ADA. And this could be ready to flip green. We might have a really nice bounce into the parabolic bull, but there's a lot to wait for. There's a lot to watch for. There's a lot to be careful for. But these moving averages right now, going to tomorrow, are probably the things that I'm watching most. And we can keep track of that through the week. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, everybody. Appreciate you cruising through. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, be careful out there. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.